Okay, stick with me on this for a second. I have this mental image. I feel like for the last couple of years, we've all been sitting at this like amazing restaurant. The chef is AI, the menu is infinite, everything is magic, and this is the key part. The waiter keeps forgetting to bring the check. You know that feeling. Just pure abundance.
That is a painfully accurate metaphor. We have been living in this golden age of the free lunch in tech, where venture capital was just subsidizing all of our curiosity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But looking at this stack of news we have for today, I think the waiter just walked over, cleared his throat, and dropped the bill on the table. And at the exact same moment, the kitchen started serving something called Coating by Vibes.
Coding by vibes. I saw that in the notes. It sounds ridiculous, right? Like an internet meme.
Yeah.
But when you actually dig into what's happening there, it might be the most disruptive thing we talk about today.
Oh, we're definitely going to unpack that. Welcome back to the Deep Dive, everyone. Today we are tackling the Retter Reboot news drop from January 23rd. And honestly, this stack is heavy. It feels like the whole industry is pivoting. We're looking at this massive divergence in how the biggest players plan to, survive, how they make money, plus Apple finally waking up and, a fundamental shift in how software gets built.
It is a pivot point. I think we're officially moving out of the, wow, look at this cool demo phase, which was fun, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And into the, okay, how does this actually function as a sustainable economy phase? And that transition is usually where things get messy.
Messy is right. So let's start with the money. Because we have two heavyweights, OpenAI and Google, and they are taking two completely opposite corners of the ring this week.
It's a fascinating strategic split. Let's look at OpenAI first. This comes from a CNBC report, and it confirms OpenAI has officially started rolling out ads in ChatGPT for users in the U.S., at least for now.
So it begins. The clean, white, minimalist interface is, getting billboards?
Well, not exactly billboards. The report is very specific about the language. They're calling them contextual and non-intrusive. The idea is that the ads appear alongside your conversations, and they're supposed to be relevant to what you're actually talking about.
Okay, let's pause on contextual for a second, because in the ad world, that usually means they're reading my request for ad targeting purposes.
Yeah.
If I'm asking ChatGPT for advice on, say, hiking boots, and it suggests a specific brand, that changes the whole relationship, doesn't it? It's no longer an unbiased advisor. It's a sponsored influencer.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And that's the tension. But you have to look at the economics here. OpenAI is under immense pressure. The inference costs, the actual computing power to generate answers, it's astronomical. They're just burning cash. They can't survive on $20 subscriptions forever. They need ad revenue.
It makes sense. Compute isn't free. If we want the magic, someone has to pay for the electricity. But then you look at Google. And this is where my brain kind of short-circuited a little bit. Because Google is the ad company. That is their entire DNA.
Right. You'd expect them to be the first ones to slap a banner ad on an AI response.
But no. According to First Post, Demis Hassabis, the CEO of Google DeepMind, came out and said basically the exact opposite for Gemini.
He was very explicit about it. He confirmed there are no plans for ads in Gemini right now. He kept emphasizing that they're focusing on usefulness and trust, not commercial placement.
That feels, I don't know, strangely altruistic for Google?
Yeah.
Or is there like a 4D chess move happening here?
It is absolutely 4D chess. Think about it. Google has a massive war chest. They have search, YouTube, cloud, all these things that can subsidize Gemini as a loss leader for a long, long time. They know OpenAI is vulnerable. So if OpenAI clutters their interface with ads and Gemini stays clean and trustworthy, well, Google can steal the users who care about that premium feel.
So Google is just using its monopoly money to starve out the startup? A classic, we can afford to lose money on this, you can't play.
They're playing the long game, the game of trust. If you're using an AI to draft a legal email or debug sensitive code, which one do you pick? The one that might try to sell you something, or the one that claims to be a neutral utility?
It's a battle for the business model. Is AI a billboard that answers questions, or a butler we pay for? Or, in Google's case, a butler that's free because the landlord owns the whole building.
That's a great way to put it. And speaking of knowing you, this brings us to the next piece of the stack. Because if OpenAI is going to serve ads and tailor the experience, they really need to know who we are. And there was another update from them that kind of flew under the radar, but the implications are a little wild.
You're talking about the age prediction system. I saw this in TechCrunch.
Yes. OpenAI is introducing a system to predict your age. The goal is compliance with child safety laws. But here's the kicker. It doesn't ask for your birthday, doesn't ask for your ID.
Right. It estimates your age based on interaction signals. which is a very polite phrase, but what does that actually mean?
It means it's profiling your syntax. The AI is analyzing how you type to figure out who you are.
That is, wow, that's intimate. So it's looking at my vocabulary, my grammar, whether I use emojis.
All of it. Sentence structure, slang, complexity of thought, even typing patterns. It's building a demographic profile of you in real time.
Okay, the goal is noble.
Mm.
We want to protect kids, I get that. But let's just unpack the privacy side of this. If it can tell I'm a 30-something millennial versus a 15-year-old just by how I structure a sentence, what else can it tell?
That is the question. Can it detect your education level, your emotional state, maybe even your political leaning? The tech to profile you based on these interaction signals is incredibly powerful. It changes the dynamic from I am using a tool to this tool is analyzing me while I use it.
It's like the machine is staring back at you. Oh, you used the crying laughing emoji. Definitely millennial. Let's serve him an ad for ibuprofen.
Exactly. And while they say this is for safety now, that data, that metadata of your personality is extremely valuable for that ad model we were just talking about.
Right. And speaking of OpenAI secrets, before we move on to Apple, there was that leak this week, right? Something called Sonata.
Yes, Bleeping Computer found this. Sonata is a new host name that just appeared in the code.
Sonata. It sounds so musical, orchestral.
It does, and the speculation is that this hints at the next evolution of their voice or multimodal capabilities. Maybe, a better orchestration of tasks or a more fluid, harmonious voice interface.
Given how good their current voice mode is, I mean the one that can sing and change tone.
Yeah.
If Sonata is the upgrade to that, we are getting dangerously close to that movie.
Right, it might be. But while OpenAI is leaking musical code names, there's another giant that has been, well, let's be honest, kind of sleeping. But it looks like they just woke up.
Apple, finally. For 2 years, every time we talk about AI, the question is, where is Siri? And according to TechCrunch, the answer is getting a complete brain transplant.
It's about time. The report says Apple is planning a major overhaul to turn Siri into a full generative AI chatbot.
So we are moving past the era of, here is what I found on the web for what is the weather.
Hopefully. The goal is to close the gap with ChatGPT and Gemini. They want to move Siri from being a command-based assistant, set a timer, call mom, to a flexible conversational interface, and one that's embedded across all their devices.
That word embedded, that's the key, isn't it? Because right now, ChatGPT is an app I have to open. It's a destination. Siri is just infrastructure. It's already there.
Exactly. That is Apple's moat. If they can make Siri actually intelligent, not just functional, but intelligent, they have an advantage no one else has. Integration. They own the hardware, the OS, the silicon. They don't need you to open an app.
And speaking of hardware, there was another Apple scoop in TechCrunch that really caught my eye. It's not just fixing Siri on the phone. They are apparently building a dedicated AI wearable.
Right. This is clearly a response to things like the Humane Pin or the Rabbit R1. Apple is looking at ambient, always available AI.
Ambient. I love that word in this context. Does that imply it's screenless?
Yes. The focus is on voice, sensors, and contextual awareness. The idea is you don't look down at a glass rectangle, you just interact with the world, and the AI is there to assist you.
It feels like Apple sees this future, where we aren't all just staring at our phones all day, and they want to own that transition. They can't let OpenAI or Google own the post-smartphone world.
They can't. But notice the trend here. We've talked ads, surveillance, new hardware. But the most radical shift this week wasn't about how we use computers. It was about how we tell them what to do.
Yes, the builders. This is where the Retter Reboot stack got really interesting for me. We have this phrase, coding by vibes, which sounds like a joke, but
Yeah.
there were 2 stories this week about AI writing code that just made my jaw drop.
This is the section that keeps software engineers up at night.
Okay, let's start with the heavy lifter, the agent swarm. This is from the Decoder, reporting on a company called Cursor. I know Cursor is a code editor, but this sounds like something from a sci-fi novel.
Cursor is already popular, but this update is a quantum leap. They showed a system where an agent swarm autonomously built a fully working web browser.
Hold on, a web browser, not a landing page, not a Hello World app, a browser.
A functional web browser. And the key word, like you said, is autonomously. The system coordinated multiple AI agents to do it.
Explain the swarm part. How is this different from me just asking ChatGPT to write code for a browser?
When you ask ChatGPT, you're talking to one model. It tries to do everything at once, and it often gets lost. A swarm is different. It breaks the job down. You have one agent acting as the product manager, another is the architect, another is the coder, another is the QA tester.
So it's literally a digital software team.
Exactly. And they work in parallel. The coder writes a script, the QA agent tests it, finds a bug, sends it back to the coder, all while the product manager agent makes sure they're on track. They talk to each other.
It's wild. That coordination piece is usually the hardest part of software engineering. The people part. Cursor just spun up digital staff and said, go build.
And it worked. This is the big shift from code completion, where AI suggests the next line for you, to agentic creation. You give it a high-level goal, and the agents figure out the steps and fix their own mistakes.
That feels like a huge leap. It changes what a human developer even does. You're less a writer of code and more a conductor of agents.
Or a manager, you're managing a digital workforce.
Which brings us perfectly to the other story, the coding by vibes thing. This is from CNBC, about Replit.
Yes, Replit launched a feature literally called vibe coding.
I just love that they leaned into the meme. I'm just vibing an app into existence. It sounds so Gen Z.
It does, but the tech is serious. It lets you create mobile apps using just natural language. But it's focused on the feeling, the intent. You don't write code, you just describe the vibe of what you want.
So I could say, I want a to-do list app that feels like a 1980s cyberpunk terminal and aggressively shames me when I miss a deadline and just handles it.
Theoretically, yes. It's targeted at non-developers, creators, people with ideas but who don't know Python or Swift. It just lowers the barrier to entry so much.
It's democratizing creation. But if you put these two stories together, Cursor's Swarm for the heavy lifting and Replit's vibe coding for the ideas, where does that leave traditional coding? Are we looking at the end of learning syntax?
End is a strong word, but obsolescence might be close for certain kinds of coding. We're moving toward a world where the ability to articulate a problem, clearly prompt engineering or vibe curation, is more valuable than knowing where to put a semicolon.
Yeah, it reminds me of when we moved from punch cards to assembly, or assembly to C++ out. We just keep adding layers of abstraction. Now, the abstraction layer is just English.
English is the new hottest programming language.
But this raises a problem, right? If we have agent swarms building browsers and teens vibe coding apps and AI generating millions of lines of code, who or what is managing all that activity on the internet? The web is about to get very, very noisy.
And that is where the final piece of our stack comes in. It's the piece that makes the other two possible. CNBC reported that Cloudflare has acquired a startup called Human Native.
Cloudflare, they're like the plumbing of the internet, right? They keep websites online, stop attacks.
Yes. And this acquisition is incredibly strategic. Human Native builds tools to understand and manage human interaction with automated systems. Cloudflare sees the swarm coming.
They see the wave.
They know the web is about to be flooded with AI-generated traffic. Agents talking to agents, bots scraping data.
They need to be able to tell the difference between a human user and an AI agent and manage all that traffic.
It's like air traffic control for a sky that just got filled with 1 billion drones.
That's a perfect analogy, because if you don't have that control, the infrastructure just collapses. Human Native is about creating the turnstiles and the VIP lanes for this new mixed economy of humans and bots.
Wow. Okay, so let's try to pull all this together. It actually feels like a very cohesive week of news, even though it seems scattered at first.
It is. If you connect the dots, OpenAI and Google are fighting over the money model ads versus trust. OpenAI is also justifying analyzing who we are by how we type. And Apple is watching all this and saying, we'll just make the hardware invisible and own the whole user experience.
And meanwhile, the actual building of the software, the bricks and mortar of the digital world, is being handed over to AIs themselves, whether it's through complex swarms or simple vibes.
And Cloudflare is frantically building the fences to keep it all from crashing down. It really feels like the machinery is being built around us in real time, doesn't it?
It does. It feels like we're standing in the middle of a construction site where the robots are the construction workers and the architects.
And that leads to a provocative thought I think we should leave everyone with today.
Lay it on me.
Think about the agent swarm from Cursor and the age prediction from OpenAI. If AI can predict who we are just by analyzing our interaction signals, and if AI can now build complex software without our help, are we moving toward a future where the internet is built by AI for AI?
Whoa. Wait. Explain that for AI part.
Well, if the agents are the ones browsing the web to gather data, and the agents are the ones building the websites to display that data, where do humans fit in? Are we just the biological friction in an automated loop? Or are we just the eyeballs watching the contextual ands that OpenAI serves up to pay for all the electricity?
That is slightly terrifying. It's like the dead internet theory, but hyper-accelerated. We become the livestock in a digital farm run by swarms.
It's the question of the decade, I think.
Yeah.
Are we the users, or are we just a biological component in an AI ecosystem?
Well, on that existential note, I'm gonna go vibe code myself a stiff drink. Or maybe I'll just ask Siri to do it, if she's ready yet.
Give her a few months. She's still learning.
Thanks for tuning in to this deep dive on the Retter Reboot. Stay curious, stay human, please. Stay human, and we will catch you in the next one.
Goodbye, everyone.